What we wanted to do is just start with a quick question to them. With some of the reporting has been fairly recent, some have been a little while back, and so wanted to open it if you followed these issues since the reporting that you've done in those countries. Have there been changes that you can report on that you are aware of, or either positive or negative?
Somebody asked me about, what did I think was happening to these slave children in Haiti after the earthquake. Restaveks always end up out on the street when these families that take them in end up when they're done with them, essentially, and it's usually done with them when they're a bit older and maybe they can fight back or something like that. But now it's always the Restavek system has always been dependent on this on the difficult economic climate. So when these families that are taking care of them, can't afford to take care of them, can't afford to feed them, I have no doubt that they're ending up on the street, and I'm sure that's what's happening overwhelmingly post-earthquake now at this point.
Dost, who is the main character in the piece that I did, is an activist and is somebody who's trying to create change. And we filmed this in May 2008, so we've had a little bit of distance, and I don't know that things have really changed significantly since then. But he has concrete areas that he identifies as there's a major stigma against people who are disabled, that you did something wrong and it's God's punishment. So there's a lot of public awareness that needs to happen in the community that he's from.
With the producer, Micah Fink, we decided early on that no matter what the gay men in the video that you saw, if they agreed to go on camera or be okay with it, that we decided that we were going to mask their faces and also change their voice in the film, because to protect their identity, and that was something that we decided with our executive producer, before we even went out in the field.
I think we were lucky because we did a climate project in 2009. So just before December, we had a lot of interest in our stories. So that's good. We were very conscious. We did a series of stories that were negative. And then at one point, we decided to try to do something positive, try to find some efforts where people were battling climate change.
Working with Anna, it was a little bit different with the camera, especially in the slums, I guess, of Bangladesh, because they weren't used to cameras. And you could turn on the camera, and we have some great footage. We should probably make like a highlight of it, but where you have 1 kid, 2 kid, 50 kid, 150 kids in front of the camera. So we actually at one point I would take out a camera and pretend to take photos of the kids to draw them off while she would film.
Kira and I were longtime network television producers before we left and went freelance back in 2001. We did used to do these kind of stories. There was a time that we did these kind of stories. They just started to dry up over time, and now we are joining with Pulitzer and in kind of moving into this nonprofit model of doing these stories and getting them on the air.
To me, most of the stories we do are positive in that if greater efforts or different efforts were applied to them, there could be change there. In the case of our reporting out of Congo on UN peacekeeping, our overall look was to say, what does the UN need to actually do their job right? How do these missions need to be defined? Who are the key change agents who can bring a different policy to these efforts? So our goal isn't just to go in and show people suffering, it's to show that there's a place where people are suffering that we're not talking about. Let's talk about it and find a way to actually more directly address it.